Now, it was a few weeks ago that we were talking about giving blood and how important it is. You know, we hear it being advertised on the TV, we hear it being advertised on the radio, and, you know, on your Facebook page, maybe you see on your timeline, people sat there in the chair giving blood. But we wanted to find out, from a Christian point of view, where we stand with this, because, you know, other religions, they don't give blood, they don't take blood. So, as a Christian and the Christian faith, where do we stand on this? So who better to answer that question than Bishop Mark? Good morning, Bishop.
Wow! Gareth, how are you, man? I love your energy.
Oh, thank you so much. Just before we get started on this, can you prove that you are officially a bishop by holding up the bishop's cross on the necklace that you normally wear? Is it to hand?
Yeah, if you give me at least 30 seconds, I can get it.
Oh, that would be perfect. I'll fill, not a problem. You go
Are you
and
really
find
serious?
that. You go and get it, my friend, because
Right.
I've seen a lot of bishops' necklaces in my time, and I want to see how big yours is, because apparently the bigger the cross, the holier the person. Is that true?
Oh, no. Do you really want me to go and get my pizza?
Is that okay? Will you do that for me?
30 seconds.
Right,
Ready?
30 seconds. You head off. We're counting now. There we go. Bishop Mark is basically running. Wouldn't it be awful if he has a fall or something? And he's basically there still holding it up to the camera. Well, I think you can tell already that this is a bishop like none other, and he's absolutely fabulous. And he is basically, he's working with Give Blood. And he gives blood himself. But when we asked the Blood Association and we said, you know, have you got a representative that we can speak to? They put Bishop Mark forward and they said, here's your guy. He's fabulous. So you'll see this video back when we upload it on our Facebook page. He's here now, rather out of breath. Oh, look at the size of that one.
Now, this is the
must
first
be
time I've
holier
ever
than
done
thou.
anything like this. This is my pictorial cross that I wear for ceremonies, consecrations, dedications, and official ordination services.
Amazing. Now, can I just ask, because some people won't know actually what that means. So you're a bishop. I suppose you could say that you're the manager of a diocese. Is that how we define it, I guess?
Yes, you could do that. But you could just define it that I cover churches. I can officiate in a sense, bringing people forward into ministry. But it's kind of the overarching oversight and instruction and direction we give for churches.
And we haven't asked this. Where are you the bishop of?
Well, I'm the bishop of, obviously, of Acts Christian Church based in Croydon. And I have other churches that I affiliate and cover scattered all over London.
So for example, if we use the Bishop of York, what would your actual title be? The Bishop of?
Well, it's different. I think I'm just the bishop of Acts Christian Church, our local church. But those other churches would see me as their spiritual covering, or they're affiliated to our church.
And I want to ask more about this cross that you've got. Okay, so I'm sorry to just concentrate too much on this.
I've never been in a position like this before. Go ahead.
So you seem the type of bishop who me and you will get on very, very well, because you seem like you're one of those bishops that you are the life and soul of celebrations. And I want to ask, when you get this cross, is it presented to you by the Archbishop of Canterbury, for example? Do you pick it out on a catalogue and say, I like that one? Where does it come from? Is it passed down from bishop to bishop?
Well, listen, here's it. When I was consecrated, obviously we had a repertoire of what we needed to go and get as far as our cassock was concerned, our shanid and our mitre, our hat, everything. So we was given a catalogue where to go and get all these bits and pieces. And obviously our ring was given to us as well. I can't believe I'm doing all of this, Gareth.
Oh, so it's like a fashion show, isn't it? A Christian fashion show. Look at that.
We were given a ring as well, which again is a symbol of that we're married to Christ. And the cross, which is a pictorial cross, is worn in our pockets across our hearts as something that we're connected to. I mean, It's just the order of consecration. But yeah, as a bishop, I don't feel that we should be distanced from the people, and I've never actually had that persona. The people are my life. I love people. If you're going to do this job, you can't hate people. You can't say I don't like people, because it's where we meet people. And it's the worst thing is ever that if anyone could say, I just couldn't get hold of the bishop. Now, your ministry might turn to thousands, and it happens. But I say to my leadership, I pray God there will be never a time that when somebody needs to get hold of me, they have to go through so many hoops, so many secretaries, this, that, to get to me. I just think we've lost the plot. We should be there for the people.
Which is why we're going to publish your personal address and your details all over the internet. I'm joking, of course. We wouldn't do such a thing. But so you've got a real heart for giving blood, haven't you? Now, you give blood yourself. And I wanted to ask you, so we did start the conversation, but I got so drawn in by the fact that bishops have these crosses. But let's pretend that we haven't asked that, and we'll go back to the actual point of the interview. And I want to ask you, so there are religions where they see blood as such a precious thing that you can't give it away, and you certainly can't take blood. But can you just explain to us, as Christians, where do we stand on this, or where should we stand on this?
Okay, here we go. This is my take, and I believe everybody would understand this. The greatest transaction of blood is what I would say came from the scriptures. He gave his life, and it was the most awful, horrific way of saying, I love you. And it was by the remission of blood. Blood flowed from him because he had to be that intercessor for us. So I'm saying to myself, if the ultimate price of Christ dying on Calvary's cross, where he shed his blood for humanity to reconcile us and bring us back to him, what an act. What an act. And so therefore, when I check the scriptures, there's nothing really telling me that I can't give blood, where blood is life. The life is in the blood. And so if I am able to go the next step to help somebody who might not be even a Christian, who might not have a faith, but needs my blood, which my blood can match theirs and give them an extension of life, to me, that's preaching the gospel without even preaching the gospel. And that's my stance. That's where I am. If you need it, Gareth, if our blood type was similar and you need it, there's no question that I'm going to look at scripture and say, well, I can't do this. I'm going to give an extension to your life because there is life in the blood.
It's wonderful to hear this, and I can see your real passion behind it.
I'm actually passionate about this, Gareth. I am. Life is the most precious commodity, because that's what I stumbled upon. When I gave blood, I did not know, Gareth, that I was an RO. So when they gave me a letter and said, Mr. Nicholson, we're so excited to tell you, you are RO. And she said, in the letter, he said that your blood is unique. So I thought, everybody's blood is unique. They actually said, we have been on the hunt for people like you for your community. So I thought, what does this mean? They said that your blood will help people suffering from sickle cell anemia. Anyone suffering from sickle cell, you have the blood type that will help to help people. Tears came from my eyes. I've noticed, and I've seen people I've known over the years who have died from sickle cell. And all I could do was to do the ceremony at their funeral. All I could do back then was to take pity and to be very sorrowful. But now, I can go beyond that, Gareth. By giving my blood, which is an RO type match for sickle cell, I can give an extension to that individual's life. Now, there's no words in any dictionary can express how I feel about that.
One thing I think is great, because I gave for the first time, I did the calculations on this. So I gave last month, and before that I hadn't donated in about 10 years. And it was just because of situations. I was on medication and now I'm not. And it's changed a lot since the first time I gave it. And I was so, I mean, it was good anyway, but to do it now, it's gone digital. You've got the app. And the actually, the most, I think probably the most overwhelming thing, like you said, is that a few weeks after I donated, I received a text message and it said where my blood had been used. It obviously didn't say who on, but it said that it's been used in a hospital nearby. And I was blown away by that. And I think that really does hit it home that you are saving a life when you do this. And I just want to pick up on this because we don't want to have this debate where, you know, one religion says that, Christians say this. But what would you say too? So we've got people who aren't religious listening. We've got people from other religions listening. I want to ask you the question for example, a Jehovah's Witness, where they say that, you know, they won't take blood, they don't give blood. What would you say in that situation?
Now, the thing is, sometimes we can sympathize, but we need to empathize. And that's a completely two different things. To empathize is to wear that person's shoes, to know how that shoe fit upon that foot. Now, I ain't bashing anyone, as that's not what I do. But to empathize, if somebody in that position that was resolute about not giving blood was in a position that their blood, their organ, could save a dear member of their family or a close member, to me, it's a no-brainer. With medical science and technology, where operations and things are done because they're done so often, they get better and better, and the results are much more clearer and clearer. To me, it's a no-brainer, because I wouldn't want to see that loved one that I've grown up with, I've loved, we've got good memories. Now, because of my belief or my thoughts that I can't give you what I have to save your life, and therefore because of scripture, according to how I've interpreted, and that's the word, Gareth, it's about open to interpretation. For me, it's a no-brainer. I want my brother, my sister, my nephew, my niece, my mum, my dad, to be around me as long as possible, knowing that I'm the agent of change. Me, I'm the agent of change. Something within me can give you an extension. I have no time for processing it. It's just a no-brainer. It's just natural. And I'm not being disrespected to anybody else, but I would like to see my relative a little bit longer and enjoy the fruits of labor, enjoy the enjoyment with them. That's where I'm coming from.
And I want you just to tell us, so, I mean, I've said it on the radio that I was amazed how easy it is. And some people, they are a bit uneasy with needles and stuff, but genuinely, right, and I'm speaking from the heart here, it was such a pleasure to give the blood. The staff were fabulous. It was a real beautiful experience, actually. And the thing is that because these nurses, they do it all the time, you don't even feel it going in. And they do it. I mean, literally, whilst I was sat there, you must have seen about maybe 20 people going through it. And it's a brilliant thing to do. But I want you just to tell us, why would you suggest that somebody gives blood? You know, why is it so important that people hearing this right now, if they can, if their health allows it, that they register and they go down to the nearest blood bank and donate?
Right, look, Gareth, how did it begin with me? I was working in the bank, and apparently somebody from the NHS walked in and spoke to the manager and said, "We're looking for blood donations." So the manager looked around the office and said, "Would anybody like to give blood?" So I put my hand up and put it down, because I was only joking at the time. So the manager said, "Thank you, Mr. Nicholson. Would you like to?" I said, "Well, I'm only joking, sir. No," because what I was thinking about the needle, my blood going. Anyway, I end up and I went. They were ever so nice. Sat down in the chair. They said, "Have you given blood before?" I said, "No." But their approach were calming, soothing. The hospitality was excellent. As I sat in the chair, Gareth, and they did what they needed to do, I saw the blood leaving my body. I felt no pain. But Gareth, here's the thing. A tear came from my eye, and the nurse came over to me and said, "Mr. Nicholson, are you okay?" I was having a reflective moment as a Christian. I could just identify what took place all those 2,000 years ago on the cross. When it was all done, and I could see my blood in the bag going to another area, And they said, thank you, Mr. Nixon, all done. Had a cup of tea, a drink, crisp, whatever, just to make me comfortable before I set out. And my mind just went over time. They were beautiful, but I had a reflection that someone, somewhere in this world is going to have an extension of life because what I have just did, just that moment by giving a pint of blood. My whole persona, my whole mind changed, my thoughts, because I was giving somebody an opportunity. That's what happened to me. It started out as a joke. I thought it was going to be painful, but I left with the experience that someone else could have an extension of life by just what I did. And it was painless for me. And I understood that I could make the blood back within a few days. And it was also proves that the cells were able to regenerate. That's where I was hooked. And every time I see that blood, that van running through the streets that says blood, Dido, Dido, blood, I stop and I think, could it be my blood going to someone to make a difference in their life? It's the best thing on the planet.
And the thing is as well that you never know when you will need blood yourself. So my wife is a midwife and she talks all the time about how through childbirth, some ladies, they do need a blood transfusion. You may be, God forbid, caught up in some awful accident and you need blood, and the emergency services, they haven't got time, or you always, I think there's an assumption, isn't there, that there'll always be the resources there to treat us.
Always.
And I would say that if you'd be happy to take the blood, then you should be happy to donate the blood. And you can find out everything you need to, blood.co.uk. And what is amazing is that the blood, it doesn't matter what colour of skin it comes from of the person, what gender they are, what their background is, if they're working class, they're upper class, blood is blood. And I think there's something very, very spiritual about that it does not matter at all. And maybe, in fact, we were going to play a song, but this is such a great conversation. And I can see here now, Bishop Mark going, yeah, absolutely. So, you know, it's for everybody. If you can do it healthy, by the way, and this is the thing, that there will be people who cannot give blood, which is absolutely fine. Yeah. We don't want to be sort of hitting you with that guilt stick going, you can't give blood. Well, you should do. No, you need to check with the medical professionals if you can give blood. And they actually do that. When you go down and you try to donate, you wouldn't be allowed to give blood unless you've passed the questionnaires, and you take the little pinprick as well, which I think, is that to check the iron, that you've got enough iron in your blood?
Exactly, the enough iron in the blood. And when you see it going down in that solution and hitting the ground very slowly, they will say, yep, there's enough iron in your blood and you're a great candidate to give blood. Only 20 minutes at least. The whole thing is about an hour. And it's lovely. You forget about meeting the people who's doing the same thing. And they would say, this is my 5th time. This is my 13th time, 10th. And they feel a sense of pride. Look what I'm doing. I'm giving back. It's a wonderful feeling, Gareth. It's just wonderful. And you're right. We just don't know when we will actually need blood.
Now, you can either go to the website, again, which is blood.co.uk, or if you go to the App Store, whether or not that's Apple or Android, download the app. And honestly, it's amazing because you can register through the app. It will also tell you when you've given your first donation, give it a few weeks, and they'll tell you what blood group you are. And I can't believe that I've lived for 38 years and I've never known what blood group I was up until recently. So everything you need, blood.co.uk, or download the app. Well, Bishop Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. All the best.